Season 2 of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League just dropped today, and with it we get a brand new character of Mrs. Freeze. I reviewed the game when it came out, and I gave it a pretty mixed review, though I was more positive than most people. And then I did an updated review after I put a lot more hours into that game, where I was essentially praising it. I did give it its fair share of criticisms, but I had more fun with the core gameplay than a lot of people, and I still have a lot of fun with the core gameplay. Though I do acknowledge it's a very, very bad live service game, and I talk about that a lot when I reviewed Season 1 and the Joker character. But anyway, Season 2 is out now, and I'm wondering if this game can course correct at all. I'm going to jump into the review. I'm going to show you some raw gameplay, but before I do that, hit that subscribe button. I talk about video games all the time on this channel, day one reviews and other video game discussions. But enough with this intro. Let's talk about Season 2 of the Suicide Squad. So first off, this is just a review of new content. I'm not going to talk about my overall opinion on the game or my overall opinion on the core gameplay or anything like that. If you're interested in my thoughts on this game in general, go check out one of my other Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League reviews. But speaking of new stuff, what is new in this season? Well, like I mentioned in the intro, there's a brand new character, Mrs. Freeze, and just like the Joker, you're gonna have to grind and grind and grind for you to unlock the mission where you can unlock her, or you can buy her for $10 to get her early, which I did do for the sake of making this review, and my god, it really, really hurt to click that confirm purchase button, but I really wanted to make this review. Let's talk more about Mrs. Freeze, because she's pretty much the only true new addition to this season, to this game. Yes, there's new infamy sets of weapons, and there's some new incursions, and now there's little patches of ice here and there, but it still feels exactly like the same game. It doesn't feel like there's anything truly, genuinely new here besides Mrs. Freeze. But is she at least fun to play as? Yes and no. She's fun to play as simply because I do like playing this game. I do really genuinely enjoy the core combat and the core gameplay mechanics. And when you play as Mrs. Freeze, you're just going through the same gameplay mechanics as everyone else. You're using the same weapons, you're doing the same counters, you're fighting the same enemies, you're doing all the same stuff. But as a new character that you play as, she doesn't really bring anything new to the table at all. Her traversal ability is just an ice glide thing, which is super easy to use. It's actually probably the easiest traversal method for any character in the game, which some people will like that, because I know one of the biggest complaints people had with this game is that they didn't like getting from point A to point B. But with Mrs. Freeze, it makes the core way of getting around super streamlined and super easy to do. But for me, that means it's also boring to do. I liked getting around with all the other characters, and even Joker, when he came out in Season 1, he had a very distinct and unique way of traversal. But with Mrs. Freeze, it's just boring, in my opinion. But not just that, she also has probably the most boring, uninspired, generic voice acting out of all of the characters in the game. Say what you want about all the other characters, whether you like them or you hate them, they at least had personality. But so far, I can't say that's the case for Mrs. Freeze at all. Honestly, I played the new season for a couple of hours now, and I can't remember a single line of dialogue that she said, and I honestly can't even remember what her voice sounded like. It was just super plain. But on the bright side, I will say that her ultimate ability is pretty cool looking, and I think her big frozen axe for melee attacks is pretty badass as well. But besides Mrs. Freeze, what else is new this season? Again, not much, but in the incursion missions, the areas that you're playing in are covered in snow and ice, and it does look cool aesthetically for whatever that's worth. And there's one other thing that I do believe will be a surprise for most people, or maybe not, I don't know. I didn't watch any of the marketing, so maybe they announced this beforehand, but this may be considered a story spoiler, so just be warned. But the last giant Brainiac fight listed on the map says that you can rescue the Flash, so that's pretty cool. I didn't do that mission because you need to be season level 25, and I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna grind to do that. But that sounds like there might be a cool story beat there when you do that mission, which would be way more story than in season 1. But again, it could just be another disappointing thing for this game as a live service experience. But besides that, there's no new story missions, no new mission types. You're just gonna be doing the same stuff you've been doing. And look, I liked the core game a lot, more than most people, like I've said already, but at this point, even I barely give a shit about this season. But if you're a hardcore fan of this game, and you're still playing, and you're still hanging on, and you are genuinely looking forward to this season, I can say that Season 2 feels more put together than Season 1. It seems to have more interesting stuff to do, even if it's just barely. And also, there's some cool skins in the shop too, if you want to pay for them. Some skins from like Arkham Asylum and Arkham Knight and that sort of thing. But whether or not you want to break out your credit card for those is completely your choice. Anyway, I apologize that this review is significantly shorter than most of my game reviews, but let's be honest, there's barely anything to talk about. We're 2 seasons into a game that barely had any content in the first place. But anyway, thank you for watching, especially if you watched this far. Have you played Season 2 of the Suicide Squad yet? If you have, let me know if you're enjoying it, because I'm genuinely curious. I liked the game. I don't like it as a live service game though, but if you do like it, let me know why, because I want to hear your opinion. And if you don't like it and you're going to skip this season completely, 1, thank you for watching this far, and 2, just I want to know why you don't like it. I'm curious. But anyway, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys next time.
Let's finish strong. Love collecting data. Don't mind the killing either. The carrying, not so much.